Hi, I'm glad you stopped by. You must have seen kids flying kites in the sky. What if you see that some of the kites that they are flying are not connected to anybody, yet they are freely floating, happily flying in the air? That's Bitcoin for you. On the other hand, there are certain kites that are connected through a thread to somebody, but that's also an illusion because the thread is not actually in their hands. It seems as though it is, but it is not. The first case is the Bitcoin, the second case is the centralized currency as you know it. Both are on the same footing, on the equal footing. They're both elusive because they are both backed by nothing solid. The biggest case that people have had against Bitcoins for a long time is what are they backed up by? Because we have this notion that our currency is backed up by something solid, because initially it was backed up by gold. But when there was scarcity of gold and when the Bretton Woods system dismantled in 1970s, this system of backing up your currency by gold also melted away. After that, some currencies were freely floating, some currencies were fixed, which means if they were freely floating, they were freely floating on the basis of the demand and the supply of that currency. And fixed currencies were the ones where the central bank of that particular nation or country wanted a certain exchange rate value of their country. As time went by, your currency notes, your centralized currency notes were backed up by dollars, partially by dollars. Most of the countries did that, not all. And with further passage of time, it was backed up by nothing, yet it was trusted more. It was trusted more because the central banks of your country are under the government of that country, and that government is made by winning majority in the elections. So it's just that by virtue of majority you trust that institution more, so you trust what they do, even though they are doing exactly the same thing as fluffy, if you call it that, as the digital currency. Both are not backed up by anything solid. And on top of that, digital currency, the popular example of it is Bitcoin. It is trusted more. It is trusted more because it is more secure. It is more secure because it is a cryptocurrency. That is, if you want to get into the network of the buyers and sellers of the bitcoins, you have to go through several cryptographical impediments. It's pretty much like the codes that you enter, you keep entering the codes that you enter when you want to enter into a website. You keep doing that, there will be a continuous screening of your identity, and then if you're really authentic, you get into that network. So it is basically hack-free system. Your accounts can't be meddled with, which happens sometimes with the centralized currency. The second reason is that it is decoupled from the crest and trough that the world currencies that nations of the world have to go through. In the pandemic times, during corona times, while all countries were going through problems in the economy and their national currency had taken a hit, that was the time, completely decoupled from this movement, was Bitcoin, whose value hit the roof. Another reason for their value going consistently more dependable given the circumstances is the scarcity, is a limited number of bitcoins. If I were to say it in uh, Indian rupees term, I guess it is 21, it's 21 crores or something. These are or 21 millions. Uh, I'm not very sure of that, but there is a limited number of bitcoins. So as people keep buying, the number of bitcoins available or bitcoins to be mined, to be procured, get lesser, and its value heightens, its value rises. Mm, one flaw could be, though, in fact, two, or maybe more, but I'll just talk about a few here. It is up against a very powerful force, which is the central banks of a country. They are all against the digital currency. They don't want any uh, private currency system to hog into the power that they feel is their prerogative. All right. So they have also come up with the idea of introducing digital currency. So if they are so against the riskiness of the digital currency, they would not have come up with the idea on of starting their own digital currency. Some of the countries like China have already gone ahead and done that. And there, if you keep reading articles, there are other nations also soon to plunge into digital, starting their digital currency. All right, so the powerful force of central banks that is against the digital currencies. The second flaw, if at all, is it is decentralized. You don't know who owns bitcoins because the person who seemed to have founded it, Satoshi Nakamoto or somebody of that sort of name, had disappeared soon after coming up with the software that or devising bitcoins. Some people believe that he was not a person, he was a group of people who just wanted to see how people react to a concept like that. I'll round things up, but not without giving an example. In 2016 November, India had demonetized its currency. All people, of course, faced a lot of challenging time and were asked to deposit their older currency, if whatever they had of the older currency, in the bank, or get it exchanged to a limited amount. That was the time even we went ahead and got it deposited in the banks that we had accounts into. But last year during spring cleaning, I found a certain sum which must have been hidden somewhere, and now it came on the surface. So it was 7,000, not a sizable amount, but yet a big enough amount to buy something with from this amount. So I went to the banks that we have account in and also in the Reserve Bank. None of these banks were ready to exchange it for the newer currency. That was the time when a thought hit me that this particular money is dispensable for them. They don't care whether they get it back. They could have easily fined me for showing up late for the exchange. So instead of 7,000, they could have straight away deducted 50% and given me 3,500. I could have at least bought something. So my takeaway from this whole idea of bitcoins and centralized currency is that if at all you can invest in something solid, it would not lose its value. So instead of 7,000, if I had a very, very small piece of gold worth 7,000, very, very small piece of furniture or anything, it would not be completely outmoded as that currency notes are in today's date. It would still have some value. So whatever solid that you can have of this planet for whatever time you are around, it's a better idea, because in these times where the centralized currency is something that you're talking about, rules, regulation, governments, they keep changing. The values keep changing of the currency that you hold. Digital currency, it may be a good competition to the centralized currency, but it has a complete lack of support. So you don't know for how long will it survive. Will it really be acceptable to everyone who are uh, who are tired of the mismanagement of the central banks of any country? Moreover, there's one thing I would like to end this video with. Do you know the operating cost of the central banks? It is in trillions. I'm just talking about India's case. It is in trillions, the operating cost of Reserve Bank, which is not the case with the digital currency. They are not the ones at the helm, are not at the helm. They are nobodies, as in it is decentralized. And even if they were there, I don't think the operating cost would be so high of those people or their operations. There are other banks, as I read in an article, like Bank of England and in Japan, very expensive banks in terms of their operating cost. So in my my concluding remark would be, buy something solid, buy something that would not lose its value. Smallest piece of land, smallest piece of gold, smallest piece of diamond, smallest piece of a barrel of petrol or whatever. But don't trust these currencies, because the currency that you trust is also not as trustworthy. Of course, there is this social facilitation there. They are bound to yield because so many people believe in it. But still, going by solid proofs, it is also a fluffy concept, your centralized currency, pretty much like your digital currency, pretty much like your private cryptocurrency. Yeah, God bless you. Bye.